If you're watching this, thank you so much for following me. I've gotten a lot of really great positive feedback from my first video, which was so encouraging to keep going and keep trying to come up with content and create and talk about things that I'm really passionate about. I'm super excited for that. I'm really still a little nervous to be doing this, but I do have a lot of things that I feel like, as somebody who isn't big in the YouTube world, it's great to give out an honest opinion without any kind of, ads or, any kind of sponsorship or anything like that. That's not to say that people who do videos with ads and sponsorships aren't honest. I do have faith that a lot of the YouTubers that I follow pick the companies that they work with based on their faith that they have within that company and, the quality of their product. And my shirt is nice and wrinkly. So today's video is based on two products that I actually purchased after watching a Nikkie Tutorials video. If you guys don't know who Nikkie Tutorials is, she is like the mother of full coverage beat glam. She's absolutely adorable, and she is just 100% just herself and what she loves, and she's really inspiring. Her mother is actually an esthetician and owns a salon where they live, and so her skin is just absolutely phenomenal. So the reason why I wanted to do a video based on these products is to just kind of show you guys how they apply and how they actually work on maybe a little bit more problematic skin. I definitely don't have as good of skin as Nikkie Tutorials. This particular video that she does, where she wears this primer and this foundation, you see her out in daylight and her skin is just flawless. She's got like no texture, no dryness or anything like that. She is just face of an angel. So she uses the Silk Canvas Primer by Tatcha. So I don't know if you can really see it. It is very silky. It is a little bit pricey. I believe this was $52. It's very creamy, even though it looks like it's very pressed. It actually comes up very easily from the container. Now, what I found when I was applying this with my fingertips, the first time I tried it, was that my fingertips were absorbing the product, and it wasn't spreading along my face like I wanted it to. So what I did was I grabbed a flat synthetic brush. This one's from It Cosmetics. This one they designed to use specifically for BB creams. Obviously, you can use it for whatever you want. I used it for the primer, and I found that I only had to go in with it a couple times and was able to really control where that product is going to go and how much I'm going to use it. A little of it can go a long way, which is really nice, especially for the cost of the product. My skin type, I've always considered myself more combination and on the drier side. Up until pretty recently, I realized that I'm more on the oily side. So one thing that I was kind of worried about with this was that, something a little bit more on the silky, softer, hydrating side. I was worried that maybe I was going to be very oily on my T-zone area, even though that I found that the Becca foundation is a little bit more drying, just because I find that if I use something really hydrating as a primer, then that'll essentially cause me to break out. My skin was very unbothered after wearing this combination, which is really great. When I saw Nikkie Tutorials wearing this foundation or applying it, she was using a beauty blender, and like I've said before, she is notorious for full coverage. So I was thinking like, okay, great, like a very thick, very full coverage foundation that could possibly, not cake throughout the day. Looking for an Ulta, I couldn't find it, so because they had moved everything around. So I asked a girl who worked there. I said, I'm looking for this particular foundation. Can you help me find it? She's like, yeah. What kind of brush are you using for it? And I said, well, I have a beauty blender. And she goes on to say, well, you're going to want to use a brush because it's very sheer. So if you use a beauty blender, the beauty blender is going to pick up most of the product. So I thought, okay, well, I have a brush. So I had this brush in mind. So I go home and I start using it with the brush, and I wanted to start out with just a little bit, and applying it to the brush, it seemed very thick and creamy, so I thought, well, that's kind of strange for a sheer foundation. And I apply it, and it's so thick, and I'm applying it with a brush. It's just sitting on my face. It's not really like, consistency wise, it was just very like, it looked like I just took a bunch of foundation and just like slapped it on my skin and didn't really want to do anything with it. So then I grabbed the beauty blender and I blended it out. And I'm just thinking like, really? Of course, me just like in the moment and just wanting to get in and out of Ulta as quickly as I could, thought, yeah, okay, yeah. It says it on the box, ultimate coverage. When I think of ultimate coverage, I'm gonna think full coverage, like the most coverage. She's probably never used it before is what I'm gonna guess, so I don't know where she got that from. This is the shade Buttercup, I believe, and as I was applying it, I realized, because I spray tan, so I was thinking like, oh, this might be a little too light, but I find that the way it oxidizes, it's the color that it is as you put it on, which is great. It might have lightened up just a little bit, but also then again, I have setting powder and concealer on as well. The way the foundation settles, it's just so smooth and flawless, and it's just beautiful. And even with my imperfections, with my texture, with my scarring, it didn't show any kind of flakiness. It didn't show any kind of buildup in the drier areas. It was just, I was so happy with it. Foundation, I believe, retailed for $40. So these two together, you know, it's gonna run you about $100. What's great about the fact that you know, you control the product, you control how much you use. So that's what's so great about a full coverage foundation, is that you can make it as sheer or as heavy as you want. And usually when it's something a little bit thicker, you can really spread that product and get more out of it. So with this, I found that I was only using maybe like one big pump if I wanted it to be a little bit more on the sheer side, or then maybe just 2 pumps if I want it to be a little bit heavier. The Tatcha primer, I found that I only had to go in with it 1 to 2 times. I would say this combination, these two together for combination skin, is flawless. You have your more hydrating primer that is obviously higher quality. It's not going to cause, at least for me, it didn't cause any extra breakouts or buildup within my pores. You have your full coverage foundation that's a little bit more on the drying side to kind of balance out. So ultimately having these two, something a little bit more hydrating and, you know, more on the silky side, and then having something more full coverage a little bit on the drier side. It's a great combination. You know, you're not using 2 very hydrating products layered on top of each other, or 2 very drying products on top of each other to where you're gonna dry yourself out. That was it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you do enjoy these videos at all. I am working on improving my quality, sound, the way I upload them, how often I'm gonna upload them, how many I'm gonna make. So yeah, I really appreciate all of your support. And hopefully you guys will keep following me on this journey. Because I would just, you know, stroke it, beat that in there.